Oh, Broncos country. I don't know how we keep doing this, man. I really don't. But one thing that I do know is that the Broncos are not boring this year, and they really seem to love and hate the fans as much because I about had a heart attack. Somehow, some way, the Broncos win another ugly, exciting, disappointing game, 27-26 in overtime after the Commanders scored, went for two, and Nick Bonito knocks down the pass to a guy that was absolutely wide open had he not. And man, the Broncos have won 9 straight, and I am so happy to be joined by Jeremy and by Alex with Kodiak Broncos. Gentlemen, how are y'all feeling? We'll go ahead and start with Jeremy, and we'll work around.
Relieved. That whole dude all day. For some reason, I just had this feeling. I didn't have a feeling we were going to lose, but just a feeling that this wasn't going to be a good game. It wasn't going to be easy, and boy, was it not. Every time there was a chance where we could break it open and finally get away from them, we just couldn't do it. But the one thing in my instant, reflection of what I just witnessed is it's nice to see Bo Nix and the offense deliver, and then the defense kind of be the one that needed them to do that. And then at the very end, they made the play that won the game. But when it went to overtime and we got the ball first, that was where I was just like, I don't know. And we just went straight down and scored. And I was just like, okay, great. Defense, you're supposed to be great. And man, kudos to Washington, but thank God.
Kodiak, what are you feeling, man? Is this sustainable? I mean, I know we say this every week, but we've won 9 in a row now. But what are your overall thoughts?
Man, it feels like if you had turned back the clock 10 years and you told me that game was straight out of 2015, I would have believed you.
Yep.
I would have believed you. That being said, that 2015 defense would not have allowed Washington to do what they did tonight. But I'm telling you, what they would have done is they would have come up clutch on that 2-point conversion play. And even when the defense didn't have their best night, even though, you were coming off a bye and, Cliff Kingsbury practiced against Vance Joseph in Arizona for 4 years. I think that's something not a lot of people are talking about. So not surprised that the Washington offense, I felt like they came very prepared for this game tonight, but a win's a win. A win's a win. Like, Washington is not a 3-8 football team. Like, I'm sorry. Like, they're not a 3-8 football team. That being said, should we have played a little better? Sure. But
yeah.
Once again, breathe easy. We'll talk about this all like tomorrow. We'll dissect it throughout the week. But
yeah, no doubt about it. It's usually a lot easier to dissect it kind of once you've rewatched it and let everything settle. But like you said, man, a win's a win. And here's the thing, Dan. Like, all I was really harping on and hoping to see from this team was, okay, we need to start winning different types of games, right? Different elements, different weathers. And this is exactly what this was. And I was literally thinking to myself, like, win or lose, there's so much to be taken from this game, in my opinion. A lot of really good things. Like, what I loved, I'll start with the positives, I guess. What I loved was I felt like the offense carried the weight tonight. Like, yeah, they had a pretty bad, I would say, the second half after the first or second drive was not very good. But in the moments where the offense needed to step up, go out there and get it, they did, especially in that overtime, man. Like, I love the fact that they said, we're going to kick it, which I thought was a smart move, like, analytically, but I also was like, yo, we just had 18 plays on defense.
Yeah.
But they're basically saying, we trust our defense against your offense. And the offense, all they did was 4 plays right down the field like it was easy, and got the touchdown. And then, but man, the defense tonight was rough. It was rough to see, man. In my opinion, they were terrible on third downs, terrible on third and longs. But so those are the positives. That's one negative. The other negative is this Broncos run game needs to absolutely be better.
Yep.
Like, no ways around it. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I was letting the fellas know, guys, I'm going to hop off in about probably 10 minutes, but you guys keep rolling, obviously, with Kodiak and Jeremy here. But yeah, initial thoughts overall. I mean, what do you feel like? Do you feel like the defense, and we'll start with you, Kodiak, you feel like the defense was exposed in any way, or do you feel like it was just one of those where, they kind of had a really good game plan and the Broncos, couldn't adjust, a personnel thing? I mean, what are your initial thoughts on it?
A little bit of both, because ultimately when you look at the 2 guys Washington had in the backfield that they were absolutely destroying with us, like, I think about Marcus Mariota. He's a 1-4, like, bench warmer quarterback who I mean, he's been 1-4 in games that he's played in this year. So honestly, I feel like if you are the best defense in the league, you had no excuses to not go out there and just beat the brakes off them. And this game reminded me a lot of Thursday Night Football last year against the Chargers, and the fact that you had a guy in Chris Rodriguez who was literally a complete non-factor throughout this season. Then he comes in and he looks like insane. Like I'm thinking about Gus Edwards and Hassan Haskins last year. But, they did come out with a pretty good game plan. And the thing I will say is that Washington, it looks like they came out with like a college offense. It looked like, honestly, it felt like I was watching Georgia Tech versus CU. I was at that game week 0, week 1 this year. I felt like I was seeing something that Washington was doing. And honestly, I feel like we're just not really built to stop it. I feel like Dre still isn't Dre yet. I mean, Singleton still has his limitations, even though he did get that clutch PBU. But also, what was that one thing we really, really struggled with last year? We struggled against Baltimore, Buffalo, Chargers last year with the power running. And you know what? They just kept doing it and they kept doing it. And you know what? Kudos to Washington. They came out, 3-8 football team, but they came out ready to play a football game tonight, and their game plan clearly signified that. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit like, we're not really built to stop that kind of offense that Washington ran. And we just got to be careful because going forward, if a team sees that and a team has the personnel to do it, then they could absolutely steal that game plan right from Washington. And it counters our aggressive pass defense. It counters our aggressive pass rush.
Yep. Jeremy?
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head. Like that was, when was Marcus Mariota the best quarterback in, college or the second best or whatever it was? It was when he was an Oregon Duck. Yeah. And that's their offense. They're like, is he going to run it? Is he going to throw short? You get it out of your ball, get out of your hand really quick, especially on our type of defense where like they need to get the ball out because of our pass rush. So, our linebackers were obviously rusty. Singleton, slow. Barron, I was hoping to cover more on the tight ends. It was tight ends and running backs. And then I said something that you guys thought was kind of controversial at the time. I mean, I'm sure it's still controversial, but I said Terry McLaurin, I would take him over CeeDee Lamb, which I know that's, everybody loves CeeDee Lamb, but Terry McLaurin is a bad man, dude. He is just nails. He just is. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. When you need something clutch, every time I saw him running out, I'm like, thank God, please, let's get a stop right here. I mean, that was the Terry McLaurin show. Now, the one thing I will say, there was 2 times that I'm like, how do you not get calls like that? That was the clearest pick on their touchdown I've ever seen in my life. Like, how is that not called? Like, they just ran straight into PS2, nothing, which is like, what are we doing here? The game's on the line. It doesn't get any more clear than that. And then, there was like, the other touchdown that they scored, there was something that game was too long, but there was a couple where I was just like, oh no, it was the Cortland Sutton when we were going down in the game. We had 17-20, whatever it was. We were up 3 and it was 3rd down and Sutton ran like, a little slant or whatever. And they just knocked him on his butt, like 8 yards down the field. Bo threw it anyways. It just hit the ground. It was like, what's that? Like, you're just allowed to hit our guy like whenever you want. Like, there's nothing. Or what was that? So I don't know, dude. Like, what's going to be so hard about this team? I'm convinced at this point is we're going to have to beat whoever we're playing and the refs. Like, we're going to have to factor it in because we just don't get calls. Now, I was shocked they even called that hold, that it was a clear hold, but I was shocked they called it.
The TV.
I know.
Screaming. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, those ones are like game clinching calls that they're just like, oh, we just missed it. Like on the PS2 one, especially. So
yeah,
I give them a lot of credit for just going through it and, finding a way. You got to just find a way. And it came down to Nick Bonito making a play or you could say Marcus Mariota didn't throw the ball high enough, I guess, but it's bang, and pressure's on.
And I really like this comment here from Martin and Zildua. I hope I said your name right, but this was another thing I wanted to see, right? Is okay, I want to see the run game, but I want to see it specifically in a situation where when you need to put the game out, when the team knows you're going to run the ball, can you do it? And they did it. And I would say that's the number one biggest concern for me moving forward until proven otherwise is how the run game is going to look. because I felt like at times RJ, like in the beginning of the game, I thought RJ Harvey looked good, and then I thought he looked terrible. And then, late on in the game, he was better, but still, like, no semblance of a run game at all. We had 87 rushing yards. A lot of that was from Bo. I'm going to pull up the box score. As a team, we averaged 3.8, and the running backs, really 6 for 24 from Jaleel was probably the best of the averages. And so that's just another thing where I just feel like I really want to see this team be able to get an identity, because I thought Bo Nix really played awesome today. I thought he carried the team for a lot of what was happening, but you cannot keep relying on him to do that without a run game, especially in games where, we should have had 200 yards rushing against Washington. I mean, they're one of the worst rushing defenses, and, we only had 87. So I think it's a big concern. I like this comment here. I thought it was wild, but yeah, again, you go through all of the plays. I know this is going to be one that kind of sparks a little bit here. Riley is a problem. At least he didn't get a PI. Yeah. I mean, listen, teams are going to continue to keep on. I'll just say my 2 cents before I hop off. Teams are going to keep on testing him. And I thought he did a really good job of not getting penalties, but eventually you're going to have to keep making plays, because if it's not a penalty, they're going to keep going after him. They went after him in the overtime. He ends up getting burnt by Debo. Now, I don't like the fact that they're just going straight man coverage, but that's how we play defense. You're not going to ask Vance Joseph to change what he wants to do for one guy. If you have to do that, then you got to replace him. So he's frustrating, man. And had they not ended up scoring, though, you got to give him a lot of props on being able to hustle down and still get the tackle on the 1 yard line, because it was one play away from saving the game, but it ultimately worked out. So, Jeremy, I'll let you take this one too, because I know that you love yourself some Riley Moss.
Well, I would agree with them if that was correct, but Riley played a freaking fantastic football game, and then one play he got burned by a hesitation and still recovered and made the tackle. So it's like, I guess you just expect him to be like absolutely nails perfect opposite Patrick Surtain and get the hardest coverage. That's not going to happen. Like, he played a great football game. He didn't get one PI. I don't think there was really anything that he could do. The one touchdown that they caught was like a miraculous touchdown. I mean, that's just all Treylon Burks. Like, you can't say that was on Riley in any way. So I thought he played great. You got the Moss jersey behind you, Alex. What do you think?
All right. Yeah. So when I think about Riley Moss, I'm with you. I think he played a phenomenal game tonight. I think had we not hung on to this game, I feel like people would have unfairly blamed him for the loss. And there are so many people that I think I would have blamed for the loss had we not been able to hang on. Like, I think I would have definitely pointed at the pass rush. I think the pass rush was pretty disappointing throughout the game. I thought the fact that Zach Ertz, who's like 87 years old, going 10 for 106, almost got that last touchdown, but Hufanga broke it up. Just can't happen. And if you had, if the Commanders had won this game, I think the discrepancy would have been the play of the tight ends and running backs for the Commanders and how drastic it looked from what we had on our side of the field. Like, just plain simple. So I thought the boys did amazing with a tough matchup secondary tonight. I didn't think we covered Zach Ertz well at all, but McLaurin was going to make his plays too. That's just the kind of player he is. Debo was going to make his plays too, even though I think we were equipped to shut him down. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, it just is what it is. You did what you needed to do, and we'll reevaluate throughout the week. But tonight, since I have no surgery tomorrow, I'm just going to feel good about this game.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you have no surgery.
Yeah.
Not no surgery.
Oh yeah, I have nose surgery.
Okay,
yes.
Sorry.
They're cutting open my sinuses. So tonight, I just want to be happy. I just want to be like, we had an amazing win, and we'll reevaluate throughout the week.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, there was way dirtier hands than Riley Moss for sure. The pass rush was. It almost felt like they gave up a little bit. Like, when they couldn't get there early and they kept throwing those fast throws, then that was just like, well, we're not going to go as hard anymore. And yeah, it was difficult. I will say, like, Marcus Mariota he played his freaking butt off. Like, when he needed to make plays, he made plays. So like, like, I know it's just be like, well, they didn't even have Jaden Daniels and you barely won and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like, yeah, but like, That guy was a second pick overall for a reason. And he played really freaking good. The whole team was inspired. McLaurin was awesome. I just felt like the defense was unfortunately the letdown. Bo had that one pick that was just like, if you could take that one out of there, it was just like he played really good except for that throw. And it was like, damn it. I wish that he just didn't see the guy. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, if I'm going to say why this game was close, it was our defense wasn't great on third down, especially, and we couldn't run the ball very well. But for the most part, like, we controlled that game, but they said that was their game plan. Let's get it out of our hands quick. Let's take what we can get, the quick stuff, and let's keep it close, and let's be in this in the fourth quarter. And there were so many times when we were like one play away just from breaking it open, a turnover or something, and just couldn't happen, couldn't get it. And that Marcus Mariota on that last drive where he broke through 2 tackles to throw it, and then they called the pass interference. That was just such an incredible play by him, because I celebrated like we were about to get a sack twice, and then he still made a play. So sometimes you just got to tip your hat. That was really hard playing by them. And, but again, we have that mentality too, where it's just like in the end and at the end, we're going to make a play to win the game. And we did again. So you got to be happy.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, throughout that game, I never ever felt like Washington was going to win, except for until they were lining up for the 2-point conversion. I was like, oh man, like we may actually. Oh, thank you, Mac. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. $10 super chat. Mile high salute to you, Mac. But yeah,
that's awesome, dude.
Big shout out to you. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. That you wanted to give me money after that exhilarating win, when there's a million other things that y'all could be thinking about right now. So shout out to you, Mac.
Absolutely.
But either way, yeah, no, I never thought the Commanders actually had a shot to win that game until they were lining up for the 2-point conversion. And again, I think they had the play call. The play call was there.
They did.
The play call was there to execute it. Hufanga, there was no way he was going to catch McNichols for the little whatever. They were trying to run a rub again. I saw
they were.
That somehow they didn't get flagged for OPI on the TD. I don't know. That still pisses me off. But
yeah.
Whatever. All's well, ends well. Ball don't lie, I guess. But either way, Hufanga was not going to make that play. So if Nick Bonito's not there, that's game over. That's game over. Commanders win. But Nick Bonito, I think he has a cast on his right hand or something like that, right? I think he's wearing a cast on his right hand, and I think that's the hand that he used to like swat it out of thin air. But either way, that was a very exciting game. I'm glad. I know that we shouldn't think this way, but I'm glad for the rest of the NFL. We had a stinker on Thursday Night Football earlier this month, so I'm glad we gave them the rest of the football world an entertaining game. Yeah. Even if I wish for our own blood pressure and our own safety and our own sanity that it wasn't as intense as that. I'm glad that we at least got a football game, because, there were a lot of eyes on this tonight. And once again, Washington, they did not play like a 3-8 football team tonight. No, sirree.
Yep. No, you're right. And if you watch Bonito, the way he ran up on it, he could have just ran right into Mariota, and he could tell Mariota was getting ready, and he does it like a little stop and then timed the jump perfectly and then knocked it down. And I was like, that's a game-winning play. Kind of like McMillan did last week when, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, against Mahomes. He timed it perfectly. He didn't let Mahomes get a throw out, and Mahomes just ate it, and that was the game winner, or ended up being the defensive game winner. So yeah, it was your big guys have to make plays in the clutch, and a lot of them did. So we're not going to remember, like Doug's coming in saying nobody's going to remember these ugly wins if we win the Super Bowl. Yeah, you're right. No, it's just another one. I mean, that was 2015. Every single one was ugly. It felt like, like every single one, except for like maybe the Patriots one in the snow when we like ended up beating them. But for the most part, it's just like you just survive. You just do that. You just go a little bit harder than the other team, just a little bit, and it's good. It's gonna since you won, it's really good to be in these prime time games, like in the thick of it, in the clutch, with all the eyes of the world on you. Like, how are you going to perform? Like, the more and more you're used to that, the better. And that goes for the offense and the defense.
Yeah, 100%. I think it says something about the, character and mentality of this team where Benito and Cooper, as far as I'm concerned, they were ghosting pretty much the whole game. But then in overtime, what happens? Cooper draws the holding penalty to wipe the Terry McLaurin touchdown off the board. Yep. And then Nick Benito makes the game-winning play for us. So it says a lot to the character of the team. Like, hey, you know what? The guys you expected from, they weren't really showing out tonight. Okay. I know Benito had a couple chances for a sack, and, Mariota did spin out of one early on in the game. But for the most part, I thought, the Commanders' offensive line, I thought they held up really well against our pass rush. And you know what? You could look internally and be like, hey, Allen, where you at? Hey, Cooper, where you at? Hey, Benito, where you at? But at the end of the day, like, they made a play when it mattered the most. And ultimately, that's why they get paid the big bucks. That's why you paid Nick Benito $25 million a year, and because if he's not on this team, we're a 9-3 football team right now. We just are. So, yeah, overall, that was big for the Washington Commanders. Roan says DJ Jones getting injured, I think, let the running game get going. I would agree with that, but I think he got hurt in the third quarter, right? And
I think they were fourth.
Yeah, third or fourth. And they were running the ball pretty consistently throughout the game. Like, Mariota was extending the plays with his legs pretty well consistently throughout the game. So I wouldn't say that. Especially because in overtime they needed to primarily pass the ball, and that was what was working with them. I felt like we adjusted it, and then we started to shut down the run, but then our pass defense was starting to let us down. So I don't know how much I agree with that sentiment, but I don't know. I'll have to investigate more into that, like on a rewatch or something. What do you think, Jeremy?
I felt like they were running the whole game. I felt like Vance was very worried or just played to like not get beat over the top the whole game. And then he didn't adjust. I was surprised he didn't adjust more because I thought like at halftime, I'm like, okay, you see their game plan. Like it's short, quick stuff and running. Like let's clog that middle and put Barron in on like Ertz and like, let's try to break some of this stuff up. But yeah, I just felt like Vance was very worried about getting beat over the top the whole game. And he felt like, kind of that Vic Fangio, bend, don't break, let him just have these long drives. And then eventually we'll get a stop because we're better. But it was a good strategy because Washington didn't really drop anything on third downs. They were clutch and, but it felt like they were always getting like 6 to 8 on first down on a run. And then it was like second and short, third and short, and then they get it.
Yeah, it feels like they didn't have that many 3rd and 10s throughout this game, or like even 3rd and 9s or 3rd and 8s or anything like that. So they did a good job keeping the chains afloat on early downs or whatever. But once again, I'm a little surprised with how our pass defense performed, like just straight up throughout the game. Like once again, Ertz 10 for 106, and he's like 35 years old, and he can't break a tackle to save his life. I think there's valid stuff to critique the defense on throughout this game. Like for example, you had 4th and 6 in overtime. You had the game won, and then Hufanga just gets there like 2 seconds too early, And once again, you can credit Mariota for making that play because I think Hufanga thought that he was going to get sacked or whatever. So yeah. And then after that, we had even on the Commanders' game tying drive in the 4th quarter, you had them at 2nd and 25. You had them at 2nd and 25, and they still found a way to get ahead of the chains. But yeah.
You had him 3rd and 25.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
And then Mariota steps up in the traffic, and I'm like, sack him, or so close. And then he hit somebody, I think it was McLaurin, who caught it and then ran out, and we hit him out of bounds. And then he was kind of hobbling a little bit. So he stayed on the 4th down play. But it was like a 4th and short now, like a 4th and manageable. But like 3rd and 25 giving that up, it's like, what is this defense doing? Like, come on. Like, I don't know. It was an interesting, I just think, it felt like we played tired. Like we weren't just coming off of a bye week, or it was like rusty. Like we're just going to happen. What's been happening, we're just going to do it. And it's just like, you got to keep that intensity going. And it felt like they kind of didn't keep the intensity going, but I think they're going to look back on it. It is true, man. It's like, it was the field sucked. The weather sucked. You're on the road, in prime time. It's going to be a tough game. Like that's just what it is. And, we were one play away so many times from just blowing that open. We just couldn't do it. And then finally making that play. But I was proud that we basically like were up the whole game. We should have handled business easier than that. Them them getting that field goal to tie it at the end of regulation was like, that sucked. But they did good not giving up a touchdown there, and just held on and held on and held on and just kept battling. And I mean, the fact that they were that tired and still figured out a way to win the football game and made that stand, I think too, if they would have scored easily and then went for 2, that would have been different. But they were exhausted, we were exhausted, and it's just like, it's like the end of Rocky or something. Like, who's going to get knocked out? Who's going to get up? Like, both people are just dead tired swinging, and we were the one to make the last play, and that was it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And you know what? Honestly, if you're Washington, this is best case scenario because you're not making the playoffs this year and you lost the game, and your culture remains strong. Once again, they came out, they were ready to play a football game, and you got to give them their props there. But yeah, I think had the Terry McLaurin touchdown stood, I think the game turns out differently. I truly believe that the Commanders would have gotten the 2-point conversion. But since we made them earn every little play after that, since we made them, it was first and goal from the 2 or 3, and they needed all 4 downs to score. Mm-hmm. And once again, the 4th and goal, they had complete OPI. I don't know how that wasn't called, but you know what? Ball don't lie, I guess. And,
that's right.
Yeah, there's more things that we need to talk about. First of all, I think the Greenlaw pick, that was pretty good. Mariota, yes. I think he came out a little jittery, a little frazzled. Maybe he was just a little too amped up for prime time, but he attempted 2 jump passes. Mm-hmm. One of them was picked off. Another one was in the vicinity of a lot of traffic, let's just say.
Yeah.
So, I thought Greenlaw, he played his rear off tonight. But once again, I feel like the team, they're still not having him out there in at the end of games. So maybe they're still trying to be a little cautious with him, which, I mean, that's frustrating. But at the end of the day, I get it. He's a guy that you ultimately want down the stretch in December, January. Everybody's saying in the chat, wow, we got a lot of vertical stream comments in here, and I could tell by the quality of the comments that they're vertical stream comments too. But looks like we got a lot of Patriots fans in here. I mean, I appreciate the engagement. Appreciate you. Go subscribe and like the video if you love what we have to say. Subscribe to my channel, Kodiak Broncos. Subscribe to Jeremy's channel, Broncos Unbridled, and subscribe to Marky Sports channel, who is not currently on here, but this is still airing on his channel. So anybody that is visiting and wants to, troll or whatever and say that Drake May is God, then I appreciate your engagement. But either way, there's a lot of other things to talk about from tonight. There's a lot of other things that I'm just like, oh, wow, I can't remember. I forgot about that. But, Pat Bryant, clutch slant route to the red zone. That was absolutely amazing. Bo Nix, 3rd and 10 to Cortland Sutton. Overall, what was your assessment of our quarterback tonight?
I mean, it was a terrible pick, but if you just chalk that up to, okay, that was a bad play. I thought he played really, really well, actually. I thought he was composed. He didn't seem like he was jittery at all. I thought he moved his feet a lot, as far as got out of some stuff. And then sometimes when he was flushed, he still kept his eyes downfield and hit some people. I remember that one Cortland Sutton one where he waited so long. He's like, oh crap, am I about to get sacked? He stopped. He looked both ways and he was like, okay, I'm still good. And then saw Sutton and then hit him. And that was that's before he would have got oh crap, my clock is going off. I got to get rid of it. And he didn't. He kind of assessed and then he was like, I'm still good. And then made the play. So I thought he played really well. I loved the fact that overtime drive was just clinical. There was no oh no, they forced overtime. What are we going to do? It was just boom. And once Marky hit it. Once he kind of finally got on the same page as Evan Ingram, I don't know what's up with Evan Ingram. It seems like every single time the ball comes to him, he's fighting the ball. It's no clean catches. You know what I mean? It is catch, clutch, down, or he's dropping something low or whatever. But he finally got on the same page. And man, that run in overtime was awesome, because that's the one thing I felt like watching this game was we just don't have anybody on offense. I feel like that can just make a play out of nothing. They're going to get what they're going to get, and they're solid, and they'll make the catch or they'll make the block, whatever. But nobody's going to be there was nothing there and you just turn that into something and I felt like Evan Ingram on that one, instead of going down when he felt people hitting him from the side, he just pedaled to the metal and was like, all right, tackle me then. And that was a huge play. And I think that kind of dispirited the Washington defense, and then Harvey, boom, done. So that was a big one.
That was a big one. And, you talked about the lack of offensive playmakers. Like tonight, I think we saw, this is the Evan Ingram we saw against Arizona in the preseason where we had that like 50, 60-yard catch and run. And I probably watched that play on repeat for about an hour. I was like, man, I can't believe we're finally getting this guy in our tight end room. And for a lot of the year, for the first, 11 games of the season, I feel like we hadn't seen that player. But you know what? We saw it in overtime, and that's why you went out and got him. That's why you went out and got Evan Ingram. Marvin Mims, that's another guy that I wish we could just utilize more on the offensive side of the ball, but it just is what it is at this point. Like, we've been begging for that for 3 years now, and I feel like he was a big part of our offense, exploding in the second half of last year. So I don't know why he's, not really getting much run on the offensive side of the ball either. I think you need to, put more balls in the guys' hands who can actually do something with the ball, Harvey, I think he started to heat up. I think he didn't run as badly as the stat line would have portrayed, but the run game overall is still a huge problem. Like Marky had said, what did you think of Harvey tonight? Did you like how he ran, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I mean, there was so many yards he left on the field. I felt like, now if he picks the right lane and he goes for it, like I was so optimistic to start the game because that first run, he like broke off like right through the hole, and I was like, oh good, maybe he's seeing it well. But there was a lot of stuff I thought he didn't see well. He bounced it outside, or he just ran to the backs of people, and it was like, go left. He wants to go right all the time. It seems like sometimes it's just like, dude, go left a little bit, like wait for it. I can't get too mad. Like, he's a rookie and he hasn't had that much. I did feel like he did a good job in pass pro though. And there was that one that they like,
oh, that was sick.
Spotlighted out.
Yeah.
And Bo was calm and just slid up and made the play. But yeah, so I was happy with that. And that was really the more worry that we had about him coming out after the Dobbins injury is like, how's he going to do in pass pro? So I really was happy to see like him kind of flourish there. And I like the way he finished the game. Like that drive and that touchdown was just like, okay, boom. So I'm not like, depressed by it, or I'm like, oh no, it's going to be bad going forward. I just feel like he missed some stuff. Hopefully, the film review will help him out and he'll get better. But for the most part, he did well, but not great.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Once again, I'm probably going to be happier than most with how he ran tonight. Yeah, and there were times in real time where I was just like, man, it feels like we were just leaving yards on the field. But one thing I saw from him that I had not seen this year is I felt like he was fighting for every yard. Anytime that he could get every yard, he was, I forget when, but it was like a little swing past him, may have been on like a first or a second down, and he fought for every yard. I don't remember if we picked up the first down or not, but I remember it was to the left side of the field. Someone might be able to help me with that. Bilsh is saying, give the other team some credit. That's what we've been doing this whole time. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I did.
Yeah. But, once again, I thought, I'll probably be on the outs. Like, once again, I thought Jaleel, this was kind of a reminder of who Jaleel is. He played very well against Kansas City, so I will give him his flowers for that. But once again, this is a guy whose role we can upgrade on. Not that I was expecting him to be like a focal contributor for this offense or anything tonight, but yeah. And then Tyler Bede, I think he only got a handful of snaps. So interesting running back rotation there. But yeah, with Harvey finally being able to pass protect, I feel like he's going to really earn the trust of the coaches on that third down. And overall, what did you think of the wide receiver play? Like, I thought it was nice to see Sutton finally get, be that impact playmaker that we know he can be. Really liked what I saw of Bryant on the money downs. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it felt like this was Court, and it was Bryant, and it was Evan, and that was pretty much it. Franklin, not much. Mims, not much. So, it's interesting to see where this is going to go. The one play I wanted to ask you about that I know a lot of people are worried about was that double, handoff flea flicker.
Oh yeah.
And a part of me is like, I get why you're doing it. It's 2nd and 1. It's the middle of the field. If you can get a big one, awesome. And if you don't, you just do what he did. But I feel like so many times for whatever reason this year, if we get to 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1, and then we F around, like it's just going to come back to haunt us. We're not going to end up getting the first down because we do something stupid. We play with our food. Just like this team almost needs to just like, okay, get the first down. Let's get the first down. Let's not dance. Let's not get cute. Sean, that's what Sean does though. It's like, it's his confidence that you like, it gets you to be this winning football team and gets everybody to be the culture change and all that stuff. But like, it also gets you these trick plays that most of the time aren't working. So you just got to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, we've had some trouble hitting the trickery this year. Like, I know a couple of them have been there, but for the most part, yeah, I agree. So basically, never, tribute to Shannon Sharp. But either way, no, I get what you're saying about the trick plays. I will say, though, that if you're going to do that, at least do it on 2nd and 1. And I think they did do it on 2nd and 1 ultimately, which if you're going to do it, fantastic, because you have another set of down. Like, you have another 3rd and 1. And if you don't pick up that 3rd and 1, you don't deserve a new set of downs, like just flat out. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, a lot of trick plays. Like, I think teams in their game plans are just like, hey, alert the trick play. You got to be ready for at least one of these a game. You know, I think in that defensive meeting in Washington this past week, they were probably just like, all right, be ready for that meeting. You know, if Bo Nix hands it off to the running back or the wide receiver or whatever, you know, don't trust it. You know, it could be coming back to the quarterback. And I mean, for that, you got to stay disciplined as a defense. So I'll give the defenses some credit too. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think he's calling it in appropriate situations, which is something he did not do.
That's true.
In earlier part of this year, or not even this year, but earlier this month against the Raiders, like 3rd and 1 again with Sutton, like that was perplexing. But yeah, the trick play, it's going to be a huge talking point, but I really don't care. I really don't care that much. I have no issues with it. Like, it's no different than just a drop back that went incomplete. Like, had something gone horribly wrong on that trick play, then maybe would have had something to talk about. But once again, it went from 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1. What difference does it really make? You know, even if you ran a run up the gut there, you still have a chance of getting stuffed. So yeah.
And that was it. He tried one. That was the appropriate time to try it. I know that. It just feels like the overall vibe of this team is like, if we mess around, it's going to come back to haunt us. And I mean, but if we hit that, we're going to call him a genius. So it's just the way it goes. So it wasn't, I felt like he called a pretty relatively good football game. I didn't feel like the offense was bad. Like, we were ahead the whole time. Like, they were playing tough defense, and Sanders Stroll just is like, man, I love that guy coming out of Michigan, and man, he just lays the wood. I don't know how a small guy like that can hit that hard and just be like, fine. It's like, how is he not knocking himself out? But, you know, this is what road games are like. Like, this is how winning in the NFL is tough. And that was a freaking tough football game. And it was on prime time, and you had to perform. And I just am happy that the offense, like, it didn't just leave it up to the defense like they had been doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if any of you were at the stadium, I got to give you a huge mile-high salute to y'all, because we heard you guys. Y'all were loud. Broncos country really, really showed up in Washington. I know that Washington is one of those places that you see Giants fans go in there every year. They completely take over. You see Philly fans completely take over. You see Cowboys fans completely take over. So I get it, but we're still like a 3.5-hour flight away. And I know that Broncos country isn't exclusive to just the Denver region, but huge shout out to Broncos country for making your presence felt in the stadium tonight. We saw you with your orange jerseys on TV. But Mark makes a good point here. Look at their defensive numbers since Quinn took over play calling. Yeah, you know, Dan Quinn did take over play calling the past previous 2 games. I want to say they said that in the broadcast. And ultimately, I don't remember who their defensive coordinator is, but, you know, they did a really, really good job at being just overall more prepared for this game. Like, I felt like, you know, what's our bread and butter on offense? It's the bootlegs, and the Commanders were ready for that, you know, so we had to go to more like traditional drop back passes. And you know what? The Commanders pass rush, like, you know, they were ready. They were ready for a game. Now, granted, I don't think they should have got the pressure that they were getting on us. Like, I wish our offensive line would have stepped up to the plate a little more. But, you know, I saw Bo Nix hang in there. I saw him deliver the tough passes. I saw him, you know, step up in the pocket and make the tough plays. You know, once again, you had that drive ending in a sack. You had that other drive ending in a pick. But for the most part, I thought he played a very clean football game tonight. And you could talk about, the offense not getting it done in the red zone on the first 2 drives of the game. But once again, that's something that we'll look at earlier in the week because you came away with 27 points. And it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, again, got to overtime and you went down and scored a touchdown like methodically. It was like,
yes,
it was perfect. So it's like, okay, I can't complain too much because that's when it matters the absolute most. The one time you don't have the lead. Well, I guess they had the lead for like a quick second when they were up 1, but they responded like they have been doing. So I'm not mad about that. Another thing about Quinn is like, he's probably like wanted to get at Denver too, because he was almost the coach here, that in the running for a while there too. So I'm sure, like you said, their offensive coordinator knows Vance very well. Dan Quinn knew exactly what type of game this was going to be. That was his exact plan. They executed that plan. And when we scored that last touchdown and Dan Quinn was just like, oh, that was like satisfying because I think he felt like that was probably going to do it. And the fact that it even came down to the end was surprising, but good on them. And all's well that ends well. What's up, Mark?
Hi, Mark.
Welcome back.
What's up, guys? Yeah, that was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. So I'm glad you guys are still going. Appreciate you guys.
What did you think about that trick play?
I think you guys nailed it. I mean, I thought same thing. I thought doing it on 2nd and 1 is a very appropriate time to do it. I was fine with it. And anytime you don't have a complete mess up, I think it works out fine. So I just didn't. I guess for me, like with that kind of trick play, I don't like how slowly it develops. Like I think it was a triple pass, which almost seems like it's almost too much because it was like it became obvious. I think it was like a flip to Harvey, and then he threw it to Sutton, who threw it back to Bo. It's like I'd like to see something a little bit more like quicker developing, but yeah, I mean, I just felt like offensively we kind of had the answers to whatever they were trying to do defensively, like in a big majority of the game, and they really, you can tell something must have clicked on that sideline before the overtime, because it's like, yo, you could have just had a drive like that in the 4th quarter or even in the 3rd quarter, put this game away, and we all wouldn't have had heart attacks, but that's not how they roll. So.
Yeah, 100%. And for all of you who play college football or Madden, you know that you run flea flickers, you run play action. They do not do a good job of capturing that in those video games, and they are long developing plays. So, yeah, but I was saying to Jeremy, and Mark, you're running the comments, so I'm sure you heard this too or whatever. But I said that, you know what, if you're going to call that, at least you call that in an appropriate situation. Okay, it's 2nd and 1. And if you call it on 3rd and 1, then you're going to have a lot of people just being like, what in the actual world are you doing? But I thought it was fine. I think there's a lot to criticize the offense on about tonight. Like, I think the pass protection was not as good as it's been throughout the year. But I think I can chalk that out to the fact that we were in more like traditional drop back sets because the Commanders were playing to take away the bootlegs, And the Commanders, they don't have a good pass rush. They don't have a good defensive line, like, at all. Or at least they haven't been productive at all this season. So I'm wondering, why our offense was letting some pressures through. But at the end of the day, when Bo Nix did get the time, when he did get the ability to step up in the pocket or whatever, then it was always I always had confidence that he was going to complete the pass. And honestly, I haven't felt that way since I think Cincinnati, to be honest, or Cowboys, to be honest. I had that level of confidence in our quarterback tonight, even though things got rough and we couldn't close out the game in 2 drives on the offensive side of the ball in overtime. Once again, it's a happy night because we won in overtime. Yep. So I'm willing to excuse a lot of the shortcomings of this game because I saw a lot of progress in areas that honestly we'd struggled with throughout the year.
Yeah. And 100%. It's a road game in primetime. Remember the Rust days? Road games in primetime were the ugliest games you've ever seen in your entire life. I mean, I was surprised the defense played not up to standards, but it was a pretty freaking good football game on both sides. It was back and forth. It was tough, and nobody flinched, and you ended up making the plays to win it. I can't. There was nothing that you're just like, oh my gosh, what the heck are they doing? There was nothing like that. It was 2 really good, or 2 teams playing well, getting at each other. That's what it was.
I want to highlight somebody in the comments, like Derek. We already, I know I've seen you in the Broncos Tonight streams like for the past week. And Mark, do you want to do me a favor and highlight this? Because we have a diverse array of opinions on Riley Moss throughout this panel. I think that if Riley Moss I think if we had lost this game tonight, I understand it would have been easy to point fingers at him based on the Deebo Samuel play, but I was really happy with how he played for 90% of this game. And once again, I want Mark to give us 2 cents. Just to repeat, because we've been going for 45 minutes now, and I think not a lot of people heard the first part. So what did you say, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with Riley, it's frustrating because he's become an obvious liability, whether he's making the plays or not. Like, even like he said here, even Collinsworth was calling out saying, go one-on-one. Like, this is somebody that's got this habit of grabbing and getting a PI, and you always felt like every 3rd and long, they're going to go towards Riley Moss. And eventually he's going to have to make them pay, not just by not necessarily like a PBU. I mean, I thought he had good coverage on a lot of plays today, but he's got to make him play in a sense of like causing a turnover, or really just locking him down consistently, because otherwise they're just going to keep going after him, and eventually, most of the time, like they win. He either gets burnt or they call a DPI. So, but it's easy to be like, oh, he's got to get benched or he's got to go, because I don't necessarily think that that's the case, but it's frustrating. And you also don't necessarily want VJ to just like completely change the way he calls defense because of a guy as well, especially with the defense being so dominant. So I thought overall, I mean, the last play in overtime was obviously very unfortunate. I didn't like the fact that they just put him on an island. You can do that with PS2. You can't really do that with 95% of corners anyways.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he's easy to pick on, and he never really gets credit for the plays that he makes. So I thought it was overall one of his better games, especially for the first 4 quarters. But man, the overtime one just kind of kills you. But I mean, hey, the vibe is good. Our defense is still balling, even though we struggled a little bit tonight. So I don't think you can switch it up that much.
And the fact that Riley played so well the whole game. I mean, okay, you have PS2 on the other side. It's going to be at him, of course. If PS2 didn't exist, like when PS2 was out, we didn't hear anything about Riley other than like just the overall calls, and even a bunch of Richard Sherman, PS2, all these other people are like, they have something against him. Like, that's what it is. They all play the same type of way. He's going to have to play perfect for it to not be called that way. Okay, if that's the standard perfection, like, he's going to have to give up a play or two every once in a while. I was more disappointed by the fact that you have PS2 on an island, you have Riley on an island. They're doing their jobs, and they're still completing the middle of the field stuff consistently against everybody else. And it's like, don't get mad at PS2 at the end or Riley at the end when they've literally done their job all game long, and it's 26 points that they've given up. Like, if you want to get on anybody, it's Ertz getting open over and over. It's all these different people, like the running backs, like those guys did their job. That should have been locked down for most of it. So, I mean, I think it's just the recency bias of the last drive, but it's like, no, dude, they played really freaking good all game, and it came down to something. But like, I mean, it shouldn't have come down to that. Like, we gave up way too much, and we were way too soft in the run game. And then they had little, in the middle of the field on 3rd downs over and over and over. That was the problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also feel like in a weird way, PS2 being out kind of helped Riley, because they weren't just constantly throwing at him all day, like they began to do again. But I mean, here's kind of like a Broncos country in a nutshell, right? Like, stop defending Riley. This dude is continuing to get burned. I get it, guys. Like, I have the same emotional reactions. I think I put my emotional reaction in the Discord, right? About like, oh, it's frustrating. But then you take a step back afterwards, especially after you get a win, and you realize the only bad play Riley Moss made tonight was that. But he had 4 or 5 really, really good plays. Really good plays. Where I thought his coverage was absolutely sticky. He was right on him. He played the ball really well. And so that's kind of how,
Sounds like somebody has a lightsaber.
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, sorry, it was me moving my camera around. My bad.
Oh, you're good. I thought I was tripping.
Oh no, but either way, so keep highlight this comment. Keep highlighting this comment for the point I'm about to make. All right. Stop defending Riley. This dude is going to continue to get burned. Okay. Had we lost this game, love life first, like I appreciate you checking out our streams or whatever, but had we lost this game, were you not going to blame Talanoa Hufanga for DPIing when we had this game won? Okay. Were you not going to blame this defense for just letting Zach Ertz run wild and be open all game long? Were you not going to blame this defense for allowing a 2nd and 25 or 3rd and 25 or whatever it was on this final drive? So it's an 11-person effort. It's a 53-man effort, to be quite honest. Are you going to blame even the offense? I think would have deserved their fair share of the blame had we not been able to pull this one out. So, I understand that Riley Moss is a lightning rod for the fans and the frustration. But if you had looked at this game and been like, Riley Moss was the problem today, I don't even know how to respond to that, because he was, if you're looking at the problems from this game, had we lost this game, he would have been very, very far down on my list of problems throughout this game. I would have been like, all right, are you more concerned about Riley Moss allowing one play to Deebo Samuel? Granted, crucial moment, shouldn't have happened. I'm not going to say that it was a good play. It shouldn't have happened. Deebo Samuel's not even a good perimeter route runner. So it shouldn't have happened. I will give you that one. But once again, getting gashed over and over again in the run game by Chris Rodriguez, come on, man, letting Mariota just run free. And those are not good players on the other team. They played well tonight, but those are bench warmers for a reason.
Totally.
Yeah, and we don't have to imagine Jamar Chase. I mean, he got completely shut out by this defense entirely. People forget, Jamar Chase, or you talk about Justin Jefferson or any of these, hardcore wide receiver ones. We've got Patrick Surtain for that. And if you just look at, the raw numbers, you look at the completion percentage that he allows, the yards of separation that he allows, he's among the best in the NFL by quite a large margin. So it kind of is what it is. You're gonna take the good and the bad with Riley, but I'm just waiting for the moments. I believe that he can. I believe that he'll make the big time plays, because that's one thing about McMillan is McMillan will get burnt, man, but then McMillan will come and make you pay.
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting for Riley to get that. But yeah, you make a great point, Kodiak. There was so many other factors to the game that, again, like you said, that DPI doesn't happen by Hufanga. We're not even talking about Riley giving up a big play down the field. And he basically had a night where he shut the entire, his man down, playing man most of the game. So I'm right there with you.
And there's multiple times when PS2 could have made a play that could have ended it and didn't too. So he wasn't perfect. I'm not expecting him to be perfect, especially coming off a layover like that. But the tackle on Mariota, where he didn't push him back and then let Mariota fall forward, he didn't fight all the way through that. You could have got mad at that. That could have probably ran the clock out. I mean, there was another one where Mariota is running out onto the right and he just stops and runs off of it. PS2 did not want any business tonight tackling anybody, period, which is fine. I get it. He has a pec injury. So I get it. But I don't understand why it's just Riley Moss is the bad guy all the time, no matter what. And it's he didn't get any penalties. There was 2 plays the whole game. You think 26 points is off of 2 plays? No, that's not. That's not at all. So I don't know. I guess people just want to pick at somebody, but yeah, there was way more culprits in this one. I'm surprised Singleton, and I loved Story. He's a heart and soul, whatever, all that thing. But I was a little surprised not to see Stranad in there more. Especially coming off of an injury like that, or not an injury, but it's just a situation like that. So yeah, it's tough.
This. They played. I had a whole ass video on this Iron Price. Listen, man, real quick, I'll just address this. The NFL, if they were rigged, or if it came out that they were rigged, they would lose billions of dollars. It is in their interest to make sure that it's not rigged, so that people continue betting and that revenue continues to flow in. So it would just be way too big of a risk, in my opinion. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. In terms of Riley, man, I think you're right. He gets picked on. I think it's kind of easy to pick on him too. One, because he's got the history of the pass interferences, and 2, I think it's also some of the demeanor that he's got. He's always coming up and doing this and kind of talking a little bit of junk, but I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be completely okay in terms of his game overall. I thought Jahdae Barron, man, when he was in there was playing good. He almost had a game-sealing pick. It was such a good play.
Yep, he did. He was so mad about that.
He's really instinctual. In the big pressure situations, he doesn't seem to crumble. So he just seems like he's continuing to get so much better. as a player as well. So I thought he was dope. And I want to give a special love to Adam Prentice, man.
Yes.
I love me. I'm really beginning to love him as like one of my favorite players on this team. All he does is just go in there and knock people's teeth out on, on the goal line runs. And he had a huge catch today on a third down where he turned it upfield and like literally just wanted to kill the person in front of him. So he's always making plays. I'm down to see more Adam Prentice, man. All he does is get first downs, it seems like. So I thought he was dope.
Yeah. One guy who I thought was stock up and down tonight was Hufanga. Now, I knew that he came into this week, or it was reported this morning that he was dealing with something and that we actually didn't know if he was going to play tonight. But thank God he played tonight because, honestly, he's been huge for our defense this whole year. But it felt like, he would make a play and then he would allow a play. He'd make, a clutch run stop in the backfield and then he'd completely miss on one. And then Chris Rodriguez would go like 10 yards. So I felt like tonight we got the PJ Locke experience from Talanoa Hufanga, but listen, man, it's okay. It happens to the best of them. He's still having an all-pro season in my opinion. But yeah, I thought the PJ Locke or the Talanoa Hufanga experience was a little wild tonight. It was perfectly encapsulated by that DPI that should have ended the game. So
and he had so many good TFLs like in the backfield, and then he missed so many of them too. You're like, oh my God, who are we gonna get tonight?
Yeah, literally.
He was kind of everywhere.
Yeah, literally. Like throughout the game, I'm just like, all right, cool. We got a firecracker, and you know what? It just is what it is. Yeah. Once again, Jeremy made a pretty good point. Shout out to Mariota for extending that play and not taking that sack, and just being able to get it to the running back. And because Hufanga got there, like that was DPI. Like I don't know if the ball was tipped. I know Mark had mentioned that he thought the ball was tipped. Maybe it was, but I mean, if
it wasn't, I thought it was.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the raw replay, I think Hufanga got there a second or 5 too early, to be completely honest. But yeah, once again, wild experience with Talanoa Hufanga tonight.
Yeah, and again on that play. Yes, it was a DPI and he was there early and all the things. It should never have come down to even getting the throw off. Like two guys had him wrapped up. Like, I'm sorry. So don't get like, it's so like sports is so like chaotic. And there's not like he has some time to be like, oh, it's a freaking full on like scramble session. What's going to happen that should have been tackled. We've seen it happen so many times in this year where we just make the sack at the end and that's it. So to me, I just was like, that really, really, really is unfortunate, but like you got to wrap Mariota up, PS2 has to push him back. All the little things that either win you or lose you football games was in this game.
Oh
and
God. Yeah.
It's just
a million. Yeah. A million. I mean, even Hufanga, like there's no reason you need to go through the guy. Just put your hand in there. But I get it. You're playing full speed. You don't even think about it. And he might have thought the ball was tipped too because like it looked like the guys were all over Mariota and he was just kind of throwing it and it kind of fluttered a little bit. So he's like, screw this. I'm going to kill this guy in front of me because it doesn't really matter at that point. But
that's part of the reason why he was so early is because the ball was so slow. It wasn't a fast pass to him. It was just like, whatever. I'm just getting this out. And Hufanga was like, oh crap, he's throwing it. He got out of it. He's throwing it. So he just came in and it was just unfortunate. But like that should have been, tackled. Yep. The one thing, Love Life will not get off Riley Moss, which is fine. You have every right to your own opinion, all that. I would just say this. Sauce Gardner, if he was getting called like Riley Moss gets called, it would be he'd be by far the most penalized like corner in the league. He's the most handsy corner I've ever seen. When he was in New York, it was just like, well, we all love him. He's the best, blah, 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 blah. So that's one. And two, you can have your opinion, but like, I would also like listen to the people like Richard Sherman. I would listen to people like Aqib Talib. I would listen to people like PS2 who are literally some of the best that have ever done it. And they love him. So like, what does that tell you?
Yeah, man. As much as I love talking about Riley Moss, I mean, I want to talk about some other areas of the defense tonight. Mark, we haven't really heard from you. What did you think of the pass rush tonight? I thought me and Jeremy are pretty much on the same page. Very, very disappointing effort from them tonight. I know they came out with a good effort to counter it, but what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a disappointing effort. I mean, I saw these guys flying off the ball. I think that they were doing their ghost rush the whole time. It was apparent that they just did not want to have Marcus Mariota escape the pocket. It was very similar to how they played they had a stretch in the games. I think, they had, it was Jalen Hurts, and then they had Justin Fields, and then they had Dak Prescott, Jackson Dart, like a couple guys that could beat you with their legs. And it's more of a ghost rush type of a thing. And so it really wasn't working that well early because, Marcus Mariota was just getting the ball out of his hands right away. But I think that they made the effort of they didn't want to over pursuit, and they wanted to not give him anywhere to step up. And for the most part, I mean, it worked. Like, I know Mariota ended up finishing as their leading rusher with 55 yards, but a lot of those were on, like, some of them were on designed runs, that ended up going for a lot. But I just felt like it was a concerted effort to not, like, go full bore. And even the middle guys, they were just trying to have the gap integrity and play that kind of style, which, again, typically it works, especially if the quarterback has got to hold on to the ball a little longer. Like you saw it with Jalen Hurts, you saw it with these other guys when the coverage was so sticky on the back end, and all of a sudden it's 3 seconds, and now the pass rush will get there. So I wasn't overly concerned about it. I mean, I don't think they just, like, forgot how to rush the passer, but what was frustrating was it seemed like every time we would send a blitz and we would get a lot of pressure, they had an answer for it, and we were a little bit slow on the back end. So I just think it's a couple things to clean up.
Yeah, on my stance, though, with why I'm not very happy with how they played tonight, like, yeah, I agree that they were, it was a large part of their, game plan to do, like, QB contain or whatever, and you know what? It made sense for the most part, but Mariota was still picking up third downs just by scrambling. And also, I felt like what I was disappointed in was not the, until the fourth quarter and overtime, like, when you knew they were going to throw the football, I felt like they really didn't answer the bell. Until Cooper got that holding penalty called against him, and Benito made that play, which, once again, shout out to them. You said it. Once again, they were getting off the ball quick, and they were not calling any line of scrimmage penalties tonight. Like, I saw a Troutman false start on RJ Harvey's second touchdown run. I saw, JFM, I thought he jumped way early in overtime, and they never called any of those things. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess they just weren't paying attention to the line of scrimmage tonight, which was funny.
Yeah. And it felt like, for the most part, this game, Washington was in a complete effort mode. Like, we're 3-8. Like, Mariota, who cares? Jaden's coming back next week or whatever. So, like, I just feel like if this was a normal football game and Mariota or whoever or Jaden was the person running that much, they would not have even called a bunch of those. Because, dude, Mariota took some shots in that game that I was like, you're going to get your guy killed. Like, they were in, like, full on who cares mode. Let's just try to win this game. It's prime time. It's job saving time. It's 3-8 time. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to just throw everything out there. And the pass rush, it just felt like they got frustrated. And then the few times they did break their, like, assignment of the mush rush, the huddle, like, keeping him in the pocket, he made some plays outside of it. But that's what sucks about, when you're a good team and have a good record and you play bad teams at the end of the year, you're going to get full on effort. Like, they're going to go for it on fourth down. They're going to go for 2-point conversions. They got nothing to lose. So that's just part of it. And you have to, going to have to deal with it. And you'd much rather be the team that's having to deal with it than the other way. We've been there before. So it just is what it is.
This guy, y'all record is he's a reflection of your schedule. So many bad teams, but go off. I don't get this narrative. Like, we don't even have really close to the bottom in terms of, like, the strength of schedule this year. I mean, it's at 23, right? But first of all, you can't really complain. You can't really control who you're playing. And secondly, I mean, are you going to say the same thing about the Colts, who have the 31st easiest strength of schedule, or the Bills, who are at 30, or the Seahawks, who are at 25? So I think it's wild. I'm going to see where the Patriots are at too, because they're probably pretty low, because they haven't really their Pats are actually 32nd. They're dead last.
Exactly.
So yes, we are a reflection of our record. We are a 10-2 football team, and we're one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't really know how else to tell you, man. Like, it doesn't really matter who we play. They said we couldn't beat the Chiefs, we beat them. They said we couldn't beat Philadelphia and Philly, we beat them. If it wasn't for a leverage call, we beat, in a lot of really terrible penalties in that game, we beat Indianapolis when they were really in the prime of their season, because they're obviously starting to fall off. So, I mean, say what you want, but it kind of is what it is at this point.
Well, and the other thing is, like, look what happened to the Rams today. Look at what happened to the Bills last week. people end up losing games they shouldn't lose, and we haven't yet done that. Like the 2 losses we've had been like right there, and it's against good team. Like so.
Yeah, and last I checked, I mean everybody's jocking the Cowboys, like saying that the Cowboys are back, because they beat the Chiefs, which was thank you Dallas. But when I remember that, we whooped them up in every single way possible and should have scored 50. So it's just a lazy narrative in my opinion. I just kind of wanted to say that because I just think it's so easy.
And here's the thing, like people, if you want to say negativity, that's fine. And you could, and maybe we are one done. Maybe we win one playoff, who knows? Or maybe we go all the way. Who knows? I will say this is the weirdest year because there's nobody that feels like elite. Everybody feels like there's pretty good to really good, but nobody is like, oh crap, that's the team right now. I thought the Rams were that, and then they blew it. So like NFL is hard, especially road games. So anybody looking for style points, just don't worry about it. Like you won the freaking football game and the other team played a hell of a football game and you still won. So I'm not going to apologize for that.
Yep.
Yeah, no, don't apologize for a victory in a game that you very easily could have lost. And had you lost it, you would have had nobody else except for yourself to blame. Somebody's talking about Repsum. I want to highlight this comment that he said. He said, why won't Sean Payton ever call a shovel pass? We have the personnel, simple power blocking scheme. Why not? Not gimmicky enough, too easy. Why RJ would eat? I mean, do you guys have an answer for why we don't call that many shovel passes? I feel like that's something that I haven't really thought about, but I mean, is he onto something? What do you guys think?
I think the only team I see run them is Kansas City in the red zone.
Yeah, me too. I don't see like a ton of shovel passes, so I think that's basically an Andy Reid exclusive, but I don't know.
I would like to see more designed bow runs.
Yeah, me too.
But
it's just one of those things where it's just like, you don't want to look at Jaden Daniels, look at all these guys. You just don't want to put your guy out there if it's unnecessary. And if you're winning the football game, like the Giants game, we had that designed run that got us the lead late in the end. So I just think he's just being careful. I think he knows Bo can do it. But it's you got to be careful with that one.
You do have to be careful, but I think you said it not too long ago that Bo does a good job of protecting himself, and it is a part of his play style. So I would like it to just be more incorporated a little more, like maybe one a game, and it'd be completely fine. But one thing I was very happy with Bo Nix about tonight is I felt like he was bailing from the pocket and scrambling. I felt like he got very gun shy with his scrambling this year. I felt like he was, Commanders, I remember third down, they sent an all-out blitz. I can't remember at what point in the game it was, but we pick it up, and then he just takes off, and he just runs straight up the gut.
Yep.
Easy first down. He takes it, no nonsense. And that is something that he didn't do in the first half of the season. So, yeah, play action bootleg pass to the tight end. I mean, we do that like 80,000 times a game.
Yeah. Well, it's way easier to run play action when you can actually run the ball. Ain't nobody getting faked out when you're not really able to run it very consistently. So, that's a big part of it too.
And remember that Houston game when the game's on the line, you got to go down it's third down, you got to make a play, and he gets that long run that puts us into field goal range that wins the game. And if you look at Houston, like people were really pissed off about us barely beating Houston in Houston, and I'm like, that's a freaking huge win. Like I don't care if it was 13-10. Yeah. Houston's good. Like he made the play that needed to be made when you have to make it, and we won. I don't care what the score is. I don't know why. We've been bad for 10 years.
13 against them, right?
What's up? I think it was 13
10 against them.
We scored 18, I think. 18-15, right?
18-15, I think.
Oh, I thought it was 13-10 against Houston.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but either way, it's just like style points, it doesn't matter. We won a Super Bowl. I know people are going to be like, it's unsustainable, blah, 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 blah. You needed to look certain ways. It's the NFL, man, and it's hard, and it's a young football team as well. Nobody, again, before the season started, if you would have been like, hey, you're going to be 10-2, would you take that? Every single person would be like, hell yeah, I'm going to take 100%. That. Are you kidding me?
100%.
I don't care what the games look like. I don't care what happened. 10-2, I'll take it. So
back to the number 1 seed. So
yeah,
we'll see. I think New England might get upset by the Giants tomorrow. It's just my bold prediction.
With no
But-
Thibodeau, I don't see that happening, man.
Yeah.
With no
I know.
Thibodeau,
I'm just trying to trigger some people in the vertical chat, I think.
yeah, I get it. But you know what? Don't underestimate New York. When they have a chance to play against New England, seems like they always play them tough.
You talk about a completely opposite team as the Broncos. Like, they're pretty damn good in 3 quarters, and they're awful in the 4th.
Yeah,
and
literally.
we're not that good in 3 quarters, and we seem to do really, really good in the 4th. So, but anyways, guys, before we wrap it up, is there any last second thoughts? Any last minute things that you guys wanted to kind of make sure we talked about before we wrap it all up?
I don't think everything that I witnessed, like, it's just every game is going to be like this. So just settle in on the refs not giving us calls or missing calls or blown calls or whatever you want to call it. Like, you just got to factor it in at this point.
Mhm.
And it's not about style points, it's about winning. And they've done it. And road games, any games are tough. So just be happy. We're 10-2, my goodness.
Cardiac?
No, I don't have anything else to say other than I enjoyed hanging out with y'all in the chat tonight. Y'all did amazing. And yeah, either way, keep on the lookout for stuff on my channel and stuff on Mark's channel too.
Yeah. No, please do, Kodiak, all the best in your surgery tomorrow, man. Hopefully
Yes,
it all
sir.
goes well. We're going to miss you on Horsepower Hour. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. We got a lot of really fun things cooking. We're growing this community, man, is awesome in terms of all like the local Broncos YouTube channels. So I'll be featured on a couple of other channels locally as well. I'll make those announcements kind of when they pop off. But guys, we're 10-2. We're the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. It's a good time to be alive, and let's enjoy it. We'll take it week by week like you should, and yeah, go Broncos, baby. Y'all have a wonderful night, man. Peace.
Thanks, guys.